Hello, welcome to Juliana's Kitchen. Today we're going to make some bran muffins, but they're not your ordinary bran muffins. I can't do anything ordinary. So I put a little twist on the old classic raisin bran muffins, and we're going to make orange date bran muffins with some extra protein. So let's get cooking and I'll show you how to do it. It's super easy. So the first thing we want to do is cut some dates. If you don't like dates or you don't have dates, you can use raisins. That is actually what the original recipe had, but I prefer to make it a little fancy because, I don't know, orange date sounds better than raisin orange bran muffins, at least to me. So you can do what you want, but if you want to do the dates, you want to like cut them in half, take out the pit, then cut them in halves in half again, line them up in little strips and cut them into little I don't know what those are, 1/4 inch pieces. And you want to do that till you have a cup of them. And that takes about 10 to 12 dates, depending on the size of your dates, okay? Then what you want to do is in a small bowl, you want to have 2 cups of bran flakes. And put all of those little pieces of date, kind of break them up with your hand. The reason I'm doing this part is because they can stick together in one big clump if we don't, and so I'm using a fork. I just kind of like to coat them in the bran because this kind of catches the sticky edges of the dates and helps separate them so nobody gets one muffin with like 5 dates stuffed in it and no dough. We can't have that. So this is just to help separate them up, break it up. Okay, so that's step 1. And you want to wash your hands before you start this, and after cutting sticky dates you might want to take a second and wash your hands, or at least wipe them because they'll be sticky. All right, and then the next thing we want to do is zest the orange. So again, you don't have to put orange in it, but I like this combination. It makes them a little fancier than your average bran muffin every day. So maybe you don't want to do this as a mum on the run, but they're fabulous for Saturday morning. And by the time this video is done, we'll probably discover it took 15 minutes to do the whole thing, so it's not exactly a slow, long process. But we want the zest of 1 orange. This is the hardest part of the prep work. Everything else is just mix and stir. And this isn't exactly hard. It just takes a couple extra minutes, but anything you make that turns out awesome is worth a couple extra minutes, right? Okay. You don't even need to get all of the zest if you don't want to, because we just really want about a teaspoon. So yeah, maybe I want a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And you can save this orange and slice it into some nice rings and serve it with your muffins after they're baked. Okay, so we just wanted a little bit of orange there for orange flavoring. And I am going to throw that zest into the main mixing bowl. So in the main mixing bowl, I have a 1/3 cup of butter. You can use margarine if you want to, or shortening, but I'm old school, and I think God made cows and butter. He didn't make hydrogenizing machines. So anyway, I like to cook with butter. Okay, so just a little bit of orange zest in there with your butter. You want to soften the butter. So I'm just using a slotted spoon to get the butter softened. And then into that butter, as it's softened, we want to add some sugar. You can use white sugar if you want. I happen to be using brown sugar today. So that's a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I will have the recipe in the link, or not the link, but the description below, so that you can, I don't know if you can print it out from there, but you can take a screenshot of it and then have it you can have it for your cookbook if you want it for reference without having to go online. Okay, so you want to mix the sugar into the butter, and then to that we want to add 1 egg. And stir that in as well until it's nice and fluffy. Oh yeah, there's one more juicy ingredient. You can't miss this part. Some molasses. So you want to use 3 tablespoons of molasses. And I have a little kitchen hack. Instead of measuring 3 tablespoons, because the stuff is sticky, I actually just filled a 1/4 cup measuring cup. I don't know if you can see that online. You can see I've kind of filled it about 3/4 full. And that just makes it so I only have to clean it once with the spatula instead of cleaning every single solitary spoonful, because it takes longer. But can you see also how easy the molasses is coming out of the container? That's another kitchen hack that makes it come out a little easier. If you would just put a drop of oil, cooking oil, in the container, look how clean it comes. There's no molasses sticking to the side. So that's my other kitchen hack, making your life easier making bran muffins. Okay, so these first 4 ingredients, we got the butter, well, maybe there's 5 because I threw the orange in. The butter, the sugar, the egg, and the molasses. You want to just get that nicely mixed up. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you want it mixed. So maybe you want to get some of it off the spatula or off the spoon. Use your spatula to clean it off the spoon if it's building up there. And then just give it another quick stir. And then what we're going to do is add the dry ingredients and milk. So first we're going to add 4 teaspoons of baking powder and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And give that a good stir so it's all mixed throughout. And then we want to add some flour. I have pre-measured 1 1/4 cups of flour, and I'm going to put half of it in to the mix. So you don't want to put all of it in at once. Just want to put about half and mix that in till it's all the flour is nice and absorbed. Don't worry too much if you don't get all of it in this first round, because your next ingredient is 1 cup of milk. So you want to add 1 cup of milk to that. And if you're someone who doesn't do a lot of baking and you want a nice other kitchen hack when it comes to milk, I don't typically do a lot of baking, and so I take it and I freeze it. I measure 1 cup amounts and put them in the Ziploc sandwich baggies. And I lay that on a cookie sheet and put it in the freezer and freeze them solid, so then you have these nice convenient 1 cup pre-measured packages of milk that you can just take out and defrost as you want to cook. And then you don't have a quart of milk going sour in the fridge because you're not a big milk drinker like me. Okay, so there, we've got the milk all mixed in, and now what we want to do is add the last half of the flour and stir that in. This time it'll mix in no problem at all because it's a much wetter batter now. And as soon as just enough to get the flour all absorbed. There we go. Now, you know those dates we had coated in the bran? It's time for that to go in. And remember I said I was going to proteinize these? Well, if you add 1/3 cup of hemp seeds, it actually makes them more flavorful, a little bit more moist, and it adds a whopping amount of protein. I think it's like 20 grams or 30 grams. I'll figure it out and put it in the recipe for you. Anyway, you just want to mix that in to your batter till it's all coated in there. And now we're going to put them in the muffin tins. I like to just, because I'm in a hurry all the time and I don't want to be fiddling around with butter and paper and stuff, I just give it a quick coating of Pam, some kind of oil barrier, and then just spoonful them, little spoonfuls, into each muffin tin. You can just fill them about 2/3 full and make a whole dozen muffins, but I like to make less muffins that are larger, so you can do what you like. Let's just get them all done. I'll speed the video up for this part so you don't have to watch me slowly filling the muffin tins. get 12. Maybe I am going to get 12. We'll see. But there's a saying, why be right when you can be happy? So let's just not be right about 12. Let's just be happy and have 11 lovely muffins. All right. See, we're giving one to the invisible muffin gods to make our batch turn out great or something silly like that, hey? Okay. Now, these are going to go in the oven at 425 for about 15 minutes. So when they're done, I will be back and show you how to test them to see if they're ready. While those muffins are baking, here's an idea about presentation. So I just happen to have a wire basket. I think you can just pick them up probably at a dollar store even, and get yourself a nice serviette napkin, a cloth dinner napkin of some kind. Or if you don't have cloth, just use a piece of paper napkin. But if you line a basket like that and put your muffins in there, it's going to make a beautiful presentation. Watch, you'll see. And remember that orange I talked about, saying save it? Well, just, you don't even have to cut the skin off because you've already zested it enough. So just cut a couple of rings, just because you've got it, you might as well use it. And it makes a lovely presentation, because food is always better in a lovely presentation format. That's why fine art. Guess who's an artist besides a chef here, or besides a cooker? That's what they do in restaurants. That's what I'm trying to think of. So there you go. Just put a couple pieces of orange on everybody's plate, whatever fruit you have in season. I have got some raspberries in season right now. Well, they're in season called, I got them at the grocery store. Okay, so little plate ready to go for presentation's sake. And I think that those muffins are cool enough. Let me just get that out of the way. Look at how awesome they turned out. So how you want to test them to see if they're cooked enough. And obviously I've had them out long enough that I can touch the pan hot. I don't advise picking up a hot pan of muffins out of the oven, but I've let them cool for a few minutes. So to test a muffin to see if it's cooked, you use a toothpick. And you do this right as soon as they come out of the oven, and you slide the toothpick in, and I got a bit of date there, so that's a bad example. The idea is that you want to put them in, take them out, and it's dry, and you see no sticky stuff on it. In this scenario, if you kind of poke a couple spots and you see it's dry, then you know you're okay, even if you got one sticky spot that you found a date. That's why it was sticky. All right, so you can turn the whole thing, the whole tray upside down on a cooling rack, but I never do that because can you see that you can just twist them? They all just twist nicely. If you have trouble and they're not, for whatever reason, your muffins are sticking to your pan, then you can just run a knife around the edge. But I gave them all a little twist, and then remember I said, well, that one's falling apart, so I might have to leave that as a demo for snacks later. But I can just show you. Look at how lovely the presentation is when you just take an extra minute to put them in a nice container. Now this one muffin, we'll save it for my snack later because I squeezed it the wrong way and the top's coming off. But there you go, your beautiful presentation. And they're really best served warm with a little bit of butter, but there you go. That's your picture of presentation that they would look like, and they're literally falling apart here. Do you want some nice butter on there? And if they're warm, the butter melts a little bit, which, as you can see, they're so good they're falling apart before they've even hit my mouth. But there you have it, homemade orange date bran muffins. If you like this recipe and you want to come cook with me some more, then hit that like button and subscribe, because I got a whole lot more recipes in me that are going to come out and hit this channel. Thanks. Have a good day.